We'll begin tonight at the presidential seat, where President Bola Tinubu has just returned to resume official duties after cutting short his vacation ahead of schedule. The president departed for France on September the 4th, 2025, to spend part of his annual holiday and was initially scheduled to spend 10 working days outside the country between France and the United Kingdom. While in France last week, President Tinubu held a private luncheon with his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, at the Élysée Palace. At the luncheon, both leaders reviewed key areas of cooperation between Nigeria and France and agreed to deepen the partnership for mutual prosperity and global stability. The declaration of a 6-month state of emergency in Rivers State and appointment of a sole administrator on March the 18th, 2025 by President Bola Tinubu sparked mixed reaction. But with the conclusion of the said period, many now hope for the return of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Vice Admiral Ibok Ete-Bas was appointed as the sole administrator to oversee governance and restore stability in the state. The emergency rule was put in place due to prolonged political tensions fueled by a power struggle between the governor and his predecessor, who is now Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The president had cited constitutional breaches, governance paralysis, and security threats in the state. Now, while many believe that the 6-month state of emergency will pave the way for a resolution to the political crisis in Rivers State, potentially leading to Fubara's return, political watchers remain unsure as the situation continues to unfold. Let's also tell you that the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC is seeking to bring suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara into the party ahead of the state's handover ceremony. APC Rivers spokesman Darlington Nwauju said Fubara is welcome to defect and would automatically become the party leader if he joins. Nwauju expects a National Assembly committee to review the emergency rule period. Meanwhile, President Tinubu and Fubara are expected back in Nigeria Tuesday ahead of Thursday's handover, marking the end of the emergency rule in Rivers State. Tinubu cut short his vacation to return for the transition. Professor Iyala Peterside is one of Rivers State's stakeholders. He joins me now for this conversation. Thank you for giving us your time tonight. 6 months. Emergency rule is now out. It's almost out of the way. But many say nothing really changed except that there are new local government chairmen and that Governor Fubara will return as perhaps a lame duck governor. How do you weigh?
As a lifelong Democrat, a Nigerian, and a Rivers State citizen, I think that we all have to be grateful that hopefully this aberration in our body politic will come to an end next week. It's still a promise, it's not been delivered. So whatever leads to the end of this aberration in our body politic, I think I welcome. The process that got here, we have already talked at length about. What is important, I think, for me and other stakeholders in Rivers State, is that we get our state back. We resume the development that was truncated by the emergency rule, that we learn lessons from what led to this imbroglio, but more importantly, that we reinforce, I think very importantly, that we don't forget that this case had many ups and downs, and unfortunately the Supreme Court, which had the right to tell us whether the president's action were right or wrong, has let the clock run out. It's almost like a coach refusing to play and let the clock run out in a soccer match. The Supreme Court has not weighed on this, so we don't even know whether the president's ruling on this case was right or wrong. But be that as it may, if we get the governor back, we need to see under what conditions, because it is possible that he has a good next 2.5 years, but it's also possible that he's a lame duck and cannot get anything done without the approval of whoever is his handler, including a constant threat from the House of Assembly of impeachment if he deviates from whatever agreements that led to this return.
I notice you're very careful with the phrase if he comes back, but the optics is looking like that will be the case. Fubara is on his way back. The president has cut short his vacation to be in the country. What are the chances that it will happen more than it will not happen, that will transition back to a democratic rule in Rivers State?
I think Nigerians are very hopeful people, but I have learned, if you recall, this suspension was supposed to be from 3 to 6 months. And in that period of time, unfortunately, again, this is unfortunate because there has been no statement, no interim report of, one, what the process was to get here, two, what levels of emergency or danger had been either settled, mitigated, or prevented by this rule, not from the administrator, not from the presidency. There should have been a periodic report. In other places where this kind of thing happens, there should have been a periodic report from both the administrator and the presidency, and supervision of the administrator from the Congress who authorized this. There should have been a periodical to the Nigerian public to say, we went in because of this. Since then, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. That is why we're moving forward, and there's likelihood that we're going to reverse it in 6 months. There's been absolute silence. And that's the problem I have with this kind of thing. We need to set up institutions in Nigeria that last. We need to set up processes that can be reproducible. We cannot have this ad hoc kind of government where nobody checks, there are no checks and balances. We
did hear that there is a committee in the House of Representatives or the National Assembly, I'm not sure which now, that oversights what happens in Rivers State. I mean, they looked at the budget, they approved certain things. Haven't they done any sort of accounting for their actions with the state? And has stakeholders like yourself, or rather have stakeholders like yourself participated in requesting for update or information from the presidency?
Again, Felicity, the sole administrator has not addressed the Rivers public for 6 months. Knowing that he came in on an emergency basis, his role was to placate, was to reassure, and let people understand why he was necessary. He never felt a need to do that. He just had a Thanksgiving service on Sunday. And, the main players, the key players of Rivers State were not even at the Thanksgiving service. So who was he serving? Again, I don't want to really litigate this.
Okay.
I hope it comes to an end next week.
Okay, let's talk about calls for Vice Admiral Ibokete Bass to give account of his stewardship in the last 6 months as one way of knowing what has happened. One of the things that concerns that was raised was corruption and politicizing of every arm of governance in Rivers State. What are your thoughts on that? And now that his time is up, he's done Thanksgiving service, like you said, do you see the possibility of him doing that, if not to the Rivers people directly, but to the person who appointed him as sole administrator?
I don't know Rear Admiral Ibas as a person, but I know that he was a high-ranking military officer before he retired. And I know for a fact that military officers are well-trained in handover notes because they move very, very frequently. The things I expect to happen, one, there should be obviously a formal report to the presidency on his tenure in Rivers State. There should be a formal report to the Congress on his tenure to Rivers State. And just out of courtesy, and there should be a formal address to the Rivers people who he came in to supervise for 6 months. It would be unbecoming and unsoldierly for him to creep out at night without addressing the Rivers people. And his address should, one, justify his time there. Two, state his successes. Three, tell us what the difficulties he faced and how he overcame them. And four, what has been put in place to make sure that the quiet that's existed in Rivers State in the last 6 months continues, and how what he has done to prepare the place for Fubara to come back seamlessly.
Yeah,
that's the very least I expect.
Yeah. Pertinent issues you've raised. Hopefully, we still have a few days, even if it's 1 or 2, to see. They might surprise us. Who knows? We might come back to you for your thoughts as well if that does happen. Thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you, Felicity. Like most Nigerians, I'm hopeful that this aberration will be quickly repaired next week.
Coming up tonight, Sowore countersues DSS others amid defamation claims. We have details of this story and much more when we return. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu concludes work vacation ahead schedule, returns to Nigeria to resume official duties. It's a sad day for Lagos market as many trapped in fire incidents in commercial buildings in separate incidents, leaving workers stranded. Uta County seeks death penalty as it issues 7 charges against suspected killer of activist Charlie Kirk. The Department of State Services has charged Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the African Action Congress at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Sowore faces 5 charges linked to posts on his official X and Facebook accounts, which the DSS has contained false and defamatory claims against President Bola Tinubu. The agency had given Sowore a week to remove the posts, but he did not comply. Social media giant X Corp and Meta also failed to delete his account after a government demand. The charges accuse Sowore of publishing false information aimed at causing public unrest and damaging the president's reputation under Nigeria's Cybercrimes and Criminal Code Act. And in response, Sowore has taken legal action against the Department of State Services, Meta and X Corp at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The activist is challenging what he calls unconstitutional censorship after the DSS reportedly pressured global social media platforms to delete his posts, labeling President Bola Tinubu a criminal. Sowore's lawyer asserts that the move threatens free speech, protected under Section 39 of Nigeria's 1999 Constitution. The suit demands that a court stop the DSS from directing deletion of posts and orders that Meta and X do not participate in what Sowore describes as repression. Africa must stop treating environmental, social, and governance (ESG) principles as a Western-imposed checklist and instead reshape them to reflect its own realities. This was the central message at the Africa Interview Sustainability Forum 2025, held under the theme Beyond Compliance, Making ESG Work for African Realities. My colleague Lekon Onobanjo tells us more in this report.
Africa's sustainability drive faces hurdles ranging from unsuitable global strategies to poor funding, low awareness, and disengaged political elites. These gaps have slowed the adoption of environmental, social, and governance principles. At the Africa Interview Sustainability Forum 2025, speakers insist ESG must shift from box ticking to core strategy.
The reason why we're struggling so much with the environment right now is because there's so much, socio-economic disempowerment at the base level. Governance, we haven't gotten it right, and so governance priorities are not aligning with a lot of the things that we need.
The key lesson is collect the ideas and package the interventions such that you can attract private finance, or calling China finance.
We as a people have to push the agenda of education with our lawmakers, because they will only implement the preponderance of what they hear.
With the theme, Beyond Compliance, Making ESG Work for African Realities, experts call for localized policies and practical solutions to tackle poverty, inequality, and waste.
It's really just about contextualizing it and embracing the nuances that come with our own peculiarities, our cultures, the diversity of Africa. We have a population of 1.4 billion people, but that's not enough to create markets. The people need to be empowered. The people need to have, the purchasing power. That is what will drive market, will drive GDP.
By 2050, we're going to have more plastic than fish in the ocean, and that's happening now. And as we all know, AI takes a lot of power and it takes a lot of water. So we in Africa, that if we are just relaxing and we're not looking into these things and talking about these issues, our water is going to finish. And what's going to happen?
Participants believe African leaders must help reshape global ESG frameworks.
Putting the policies in place that will encourage and compel businesses to develop value chains that retain more and more of the value in our environment.
How do we have gender-inclusive technology solutions? How do we drive local solution provision in different sectors? And so the impact measurement is very, very important, and that is embedded in our policy formulation.
In this gathering, the consensus was clear. For ESG to deliver, it must move beyond compliance and evolve into a strategic driver of value, policy innovation and sustainable growth suited to the continent's aspirations. In Lagos for News Central, Lekon Onobanjo.
Taking on developing story, a fire broke out earlier this evening at a multi-story showroom in Central Plaza near Mandela's Market on Lagos Island. Videos circulating show intense flames and crowds gathered at the scene. Fire services responded promptly, but the cause of the blaze remains unknown. This incident is separate from an earlier fire at Afriland Tower on Broad Street, where the blaze started in the basement and was contained without reported casualties. Authorities are continuing to manage both situations. Residents are advised to stay safe as the situation develops. My colleague is on the ground, Israel Ferobo, to give us a situation report. Israel, thank you for tuning in. What is the situation like where you're at the moment?
The situation is indeed chaotic. The situation is that of sorrow and despair. The situation you're asking about is the situation where a lot of people's livelihood have been destroyed here tonight, today. Earlier we were, just about a few hours ago, there was another incident of a fire outbreak here on Lagos Island. We were about to leave the scene of the incident when we saw huge plumes of smoke coming through from the streets nearby to where the initial fire started from. These two fire incidences are not related. Don't get me wrong, they are not related. This is a whole new different fire, and this is happening at a popular plaza here called Central Plaza at Mandela's. A lot of people here tonight, they've lost goods, they've lost their livelihoods. Many of them were on their way back home. They had to rush back to this place to try to see if they can salvage something of worth, something that is worthy from their properties tonight, but that's to no avail. The fire service, they were here, but they just could not contain the fire after the time it started. It's indeed a very, very sorrowful and pitiful sight. I saw grown men, women, young people crying, and they're all in tears here today. It's indeed a harrowing experience. Someone said this is happening at a time where they're counting down to Christmas. This is September. December is just 2 months away, and this is happening. The blaze is huge. It has affected not just one building, but a lot of buildings around this place. I've counted 2 already, and the fire is still raging. But the fire service, they are right here, and they're trying to see as much as they can to curtail the blaze. But indeed, these were the same set of firefighters that were on the ground earlier today to try to take out the fire, to put out the fire that engulfed an earlier building today, and they had to go back and refill and come right back here. It's indeed a really challenging experience, a challenging one for them. So much has happened here today, and the fire, as you can see right there, it is still blazing. We have no idea how far it has spread. We couldn't stay too close to the fire because the heat was too much, and earlier before we came alive here, the crew were harassed by the boys in this area, asking us not to film and not to shoot, but we have to do our job. The men of the police are our security right now. They had to tell us, go back there and do your job. Felicity, this is a story that we have been able to gather. It is happening right now on the ground on Lagos Island. 2 fire incidences, all within the space of about 6 hours. Felicity.
Israel, the pictures you are showing, I can see people even on those buildings now attempting, from the pictures showing, attempting to try and put out the blaze. What is the fire service saying, and why is it spreading? Have they given you any reason for that?
Okay, so the people on the ground here, the people you see here, they are traders. These are traders trying to make sure that the fire from the main building where it started from do not spread to their own shops, to their own building. They have tried, some have succeeded, some haven't succeeded just yet. We have no idea how this fire started, but this is the story of so many people here on Lagos Island, and it indeed brings back the question, it is begging the question, when will we stop seeing incidences like this here on Lagos Island, Felicity?
Yeah, the fire service is on the ground, yet we hear the fire is spreading. Is there any, perhaps, government representative there? Are people being moved away physically? Because it seems that they're in their efforts to try and save themselves, they might be hampering the fire service officers. Is that what is likely happening at the moment?
Oh well, this is Lagos Island. It's been known for incidences like this. Sadly, it is not a good story. There are lots of people here. Well, they are not hampering the rescue work and the work of the fire service. They are not. But you really cannot blame them for trying to be around here. They have their goods. I heard someone say that his boss just paid him out 300 million naira. It's all gone in that blaze right now. And there are lots of other stories like that. So people here, while they're not hampering, while they're not obstructing the effort of the fire service, you really cannot blame them for wanting to stay around, stick around. But then safety is also very, very important. There are no government officials here so far that we know. All we do have here is just simply men of the fire service, men of the Lagos State Police Command, and other special forces from the police. I needed to show them these guys here because they are the ones that indeed, help us out here. You can see them here, they are on ground to ensure that we are not harassed, and then we can actually go ahead and do our job. The fire is still raging in there, and they're trying so much to ensure that they put out the blaze. Felicity.
All right, Israel, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed with what is going down there. We urge you to please seek safety while you cover this story. Thank you. Aliko Dangote says his 650,000 barrels per day refinery has ended Nigeria's 5-decade fuel queues, slashing petrol prices from nearly 1,100 to 841 in key regions. Speaking at the one-year anniversary of petrol production, adding that Nigeria's largest refinery has not only stabilized supply but is also driving down petrol prices. New Central's business correspondent Nasir Agbalaya reports.
For decades, Nigerians endured endless queues at petrol stations, a struggle that began in 1975. But Aliko Dangote says his $20 billion, 650 barrel per day refinery has changed that story. And not just that, the pump price of petroleum products are set to fall further with the distribution of refined products to its customers.
Most of the trucks as they are coming will be launching them. You must have gone around to see them. Even these ones, putting them on the road is a Herculean task.
Since petrol production began in September 2024, prices have dropped from nearly 1,100 naira per litre to around 841 naira per litre in parts of the country. Beyond stabilizing supply, the refinery exported 1.1 billion litres of petrol between June and September 2025, strengthening Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves.
In September 2024, the same September last year, diesel was 1,700 now. All of you were buying diesel for your generators and co. We came and announced, and we brought diesel up to 1,020 today.
Dangote is also betting on compressed natural gas, with 4,000 CNG powered trucks set to hit Nigerian roads. The refinery expects to create at least 24,000 new jobs, from drivers to mechanics and fleet managers.
They want to be independent because we make sure they earn a living wages. You have a clear record. Accident, of course, automatically you have life insurance and health insurance.
For yourself,
your
wife, and 4 children.
And 4 children.
Free medical.
Free medical.
Looking ahead, the refinery is expanding capacity to 700,000 barrels per day by next year, positioning Nigeria as Africa's refining hub. Now, all is set for Nigeria's industrialization and winning itself from import dependence of petroleum products. In Lagos for News Central, I am Nasir Agbalaya.
Many thanks, Nasir. The Nigerian Environmental Society has called on government, the private sector, the media and the public to collaborate in driving sustainable environmental practices nationwide as part of efforts towards building a greener, cleaner and more sustainable nation for future generations. This was as the society announced plans to mark its 40th anniversary alongside the upcoming 34th National Conference in Abuja. New Central's correspondent Bettina Uweli has the details of this.
The conference will bring together experts, policymakers, industry leaders, and development partners. According to the national president of the Nigerian Environmental Society, the NES has grown into Nigeria's foremost environmental professional body, with over 35 chapters nationwide and abroad, shaping key policies such as the National Policy on the Environment and the Environmental Impact Assessment Act.
This singular achievement, led by the Nigerian Environmental Society and Waste Management Society of Nigeria, has solidified NES's position as the foremost environmental professional body in Nigeria. This will not only change the practical concepts of practitioners in Nigeria, but give Nigeria a global recognition on certification and environmental conduct and ethical standards in the environment sector.
The NES says that it remains committed to building a greener, cleaner, and more sustainable Nigeria for future generations.
We want to tell the world where we started from, what we have been achieving, and what we're doing right now, and what we plan to do for the future. To show that NES has been well positioned and has also been doing quite a lot in the Nigerian sphere, and also touching lives even all over the world and ensuring that the environmental perspective of what needs to be done is carried on.
The government, private sector, media, and the public are urged to collaborate in driving sustainable practices in order for the next generation to embrace environmental stewardship. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Uweli.
Outside Nigeria, voting has formally ended in Malawi's general election in a poll that will decide the country's leadership for the next 5 years. Counting is now on the way. Citizens are electing councillors, members of parliament, and a president, a process seen as vital to shaping Malawi's political and economic future. The election comes at a time of both challenges and cautious optimism. In a striking turn, two former presidents, Joyce Banda and Peter Mutharika, have returned to the political stage, raising the stakes in this contest. Polls closed at 4 p.m. local time. Yamikani Chitete is a political analyst. He joins us from Lilongwe in Malawi. What can you make of the election in the country? What was the turnout like? Good evening. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Do you get my question?
Yes, I did.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so basically we started the day on a very high note. There were very high expectations. A lot of people were very eager to go and vote. So we were supposed to start voting at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's our Central African time. So basically, in most of the centers that our correspondents went to, there were a lot of people when before 6. I think most of the people just wanted to go and vote in the morning and then start doing other day-to-day chores in their homes since it was a public holiday. We had some hiccups according to the Malawi Electoral Commission, which is the authority, the electoral management body for Malawi. According to them, there were some devices we tried to migrate to the electoral management devices, which are digital. Basically, the devices were meant to be identifying the voters using the fingerprints, something which was previously tested in the last elections, but now it went into furor. But the Malawi Electoral Commission had a backup plan, which was to still use the voters' roll, the printed voters' roll. So there were some hiccups in terms of the operating devices, since some of them couldn't read the IDs using the fingerprints. But these were rectified. But as they expected in any election, some major challenges which were encountered during the day included, the false alarms, or some people perceiving with perceptions that there were already marked ballot papers in some polling centers. So this resulted to violence in one area in the southern region, where people took the law into their own hands. But we saw coordination from security agencies, mainly the Malawi Defense Force and the Malawi Police Services, where they restored peace and the voting still continued. So basically, I can say that the delays which were encountered during the day were almost resolved, unless there were some other issues that did not come to my attention. But the voting ended slightly around 6, which was 2 hours later than the 4 p.m. Central African time, which was originally envisaged. Yeah, I think that's kind of a summary that I can give you.
Mikani, apologies for the mix-up addressing you as earlier. That's the much time will permit us, though, for this conversation. Thank you very much for the update given on the elections. Still tonight, Taiwan has called on the United Nations to include it in its 80th anniversary celebrations at this year's General Assembly as the world body pushes the vision of leaving no one behind and becoming better together. The country has also called on the International Civil Aviation Organization to include it in its forthcoming conference. Taiwan Minister of Foreign Affairs in a statement argued that the country is a key player and an indispensable partner in the Indo-Pacific region, working toward global peace, stability, and prosperity. According to him, Taiwan stands on the front line of the Indo-Pacific's first island chain, defending democracy and freedom from authoritarian expansionism. To one of our headline stories tonight, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray is seeking the death penalty for Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect charged with assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on September the 10th. Robinson faces 7 charges, including aggravated murder, weapons offenses, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. Authorities said DNA evidence linked Robinson to the rifle used in the shooting and that he acted alone. The FBI continues to investigate his motives, with some speculating political views played a role. The case has heightened national tensions around political violence. Mexico marked a historic milestone on Independence Day as President Claudia Sheinbaum became the first woman to lead the nation's celebrations. From the balcony of the National Palace in Mexico City, she delivered the symbolic Cry of Dolores, ringing the bell to kick off the festivities. Addressing thousands gathered in the square, she honored Mexican women and paid tribute to nearly 12 million Mexican migrants living in the United States. She called for a free, independent, and sovereign Mexico amid ongoing tensions with the U.S. Tonight returns with business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay with us.
You're welcome to Business Tonight. My name is Chamon Dabeng. The Governor Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has reaffirmed that reforms under his leadership are delivering results, driving productivity, boosting financial inclusion, and stabilizing prices. Represented by Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Hakama Sidi Ali, at the CBN Fair in Kano, Cardoso cited rising foreign investment inflows, improved trade balances, and greater inclusion. Key initiatives include exchange rate unification, clearing a $7 billion FX backlog, bank recapitalization, and digital finance reforms such as the Nigeria Payment System Vision 2028 and Unified Complaints Tracking System. The fair themed driving alternative payment channels, engage SMEs, operators, and students on sustainable growth. African officials are advancing efforts for a UN tax convention to curb illicit financial flows and boost public revenues. Even after the U.S. walked out of talks, Egypt's Youssef is leading negotiations aimed at establishing a legally binding framework, with further discussions set for the Nairobi meeting in November. While the initiative initially faced resistance from several wealthy nations, shifting fiscal pressures have prompted some Western governments to show greater openness to global tax reform. A senior corporate auditor told Africa Confidential that many developed economies now view the African-led proposal as a credible pathway towards equitable international taxation. Moving on to the stock market, the Nigerian all-share index closed in the red today, dropping 112.20 points, representing a 0.08% decline as the market experienced a noticeable slowdown in trading activities. Now let's take a look at what's going on here. Now the all-share index closed at 141,546.80, dropping by 0.08%, and the market capitalization closed at 89.56 trillion naira, pardon me. Now moving on to sectoral performance. Unfortunately, sectoral performance didn't play out so well. All right, that's a wrap on the stock market reports. Please do stay with us. Sports coming up next.
And in sport, Kenya's Faith Kipyegon produced a trademark devastating lap to win an unprecedented fourth World Women's 1,500 meter titles in Tokyo on Tuesday. The three-time Olympic champion over the distance clocked 3 minutes 52.15 seconds for another goal to add to an incredible medal haul that guarantees her place in a pantheon of the very best middle distance runners. Kipyegon's teammate Dorcas Ewoy took silver in 3 minutes 54.92, while Australian Jessica Hall claimed bronze in 3 minutes 55.16. Her fourth world title matched the record held by Morocco's Hicham El Gouraj, who of course won men's event between 1997 and 2003. Now, of course, away from there, we'll go straight to the world of football, where Nigeria's under-17 team, the Golden Eaglets, will depart for Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire on Wednesday to compete in the 2025 WAFU B under-17 boys tournament. The five-time world champions wrapped up preparations with a goalless draw against Mob Stars FC after a 13-match camp run that saw them record 10 wins, 2 draws, and 1 defeat, scoring 25 goals and conceding 5. The Eaglets opened their Group B campaign against Benin Republic on the 24th of September before facing Burkina Faso. Host Côte d'Ivoire, Niger Republic, Ghana, and Togo make up Group A. All matches, of course, will be staged at the Stade du Lycée Scientifique Yamoussoukro in Côte d'Ivoire. Meanwhile, Nigeria's under-20 team, the Flying Eagles, have arrived in Santiago, Chile for a 12-day training camp ahead of the 24th FIFA Under-20 World Cup scheduled for the 27th of September to the 19th of October. The 7-time African champions will play 2 friendlies in preparation, first against host Chile on the 20th of September, and then Asian qualifier Australia 3 days later. Nigeria, twice runners-up in 1989 and 2005, reached the quarterfinals of the last Under-20 World Cup in Argentina before losing 1-0 to South Korea in extra time. The squad will use the camp to fine-tune tactics and build momentum for the tournament. And that's a wrap on Sports Update tonight. Up next is Entertainment with Sam Dandy.
Let's get the details on entertainment scene with Sam. Hi, Sam.
Well, let's get into it. Adekunle Gold just revealed that his new song, Simile, off his upcoming album Fuji, was originally written and recorded way back in 2019 for Beyonce's The Lion King, The Gift album. Now, though it didn't make her album's final cut, AG revived it, giving fans a chance to hear the global grade sound with his signature flair. Now, this project, Fuji, is a full return to roots. Adekunle Gold says he's reviving the indigenous Yoruba Fuji sound, infusing it with personal stories, fatherhood, grief, long friendship lost, and the victories he's earned. The album features Fuji legend K1 The Ultimate and global stars Pharrell Williams and Sway Lee. I'm excited about that one. In fact, we can't wait for it. That's not all hot off her international breakout. Tyla is adding another trophy to her shelf. She's confirmed as one of the features on Cardi B's long-awaited sophomore album, Am I the Drama, dropping this Friday. The album already has a star-studded guest, including Megan Thee Stallion, Janet Jackson, Selena Gomez, Kehlani, and Summer Walker. After taking over streaming charts with Water and making waves globally, Tyla has convinced us that she is who she thinks she is. It also shows how much influence African artists now hold in pop culture globally. She's the only African on that project. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. Friday is not too far, and we get to dance.
Oh, yes.
Those are the biggest stories in entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
And that's our offering tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu concludes work vacation ahead schedule, returns to Nigeria to resume official duties. And it's a sad day for Lagos market as many trapped in fire incidents and commercial buildings and separate incidents, leaving workers stranded. We also told you that Utah County seeks death penalty as it issues 7 charges against suspected killer of activist Charlie Kirk. Do send us your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on all social media platforms at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avu TV, and on YouTube. Thank you as always for your time. Have a good night.